Welcome to the Gay Catholic Hour, a program of news, entertainment, healing, and affirmation brought to you by Dignity New York, an organization serving marginalized Catholics since 1972.
The women and men of Dignity want you to feel right at home, no matter what your sexual orientation: lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered, or straight.
We are all God's children.
Welcome to the Gay Catholic Hour, a production of Dignity New York. I'm Will Berger, your roving reporter, filling in for Chris Cappiello.
And I'm Kathy Carter. We'll be your host for tonight's program. It's nice to see you here for a change, Will.
It's really nice to be here. I'm not used to sitting down. And we've got an exciting show tonight with a lot of material to cover.
All true. I'm scared to know what positions you're used to being in, but
okay, we'll get to that
leave
later.
That alone.
Yes.
Tonight's program is devoted to a special event that Dignity took part in as an active member of the Spiritual Rainbow.
Love those active members. For those of you who are familiar with it, the Spiritual Rainbow is an ecumenical group of lesbian, gay, spiritual, lesbian and gay supporting congregations in the New York area.
On January 14th, the Spiritual Rainbow celebration of the legacy of Dr. Luther King Jr.
We began our program with a sampling of some of the music from that night, the fabulous inspirational choir of the Unity Fellowship Church. And now we'd like to move on to the program itself. Kathy, you and Chris were the MCs.
We were. It was an amazing, amazing event. We had a great time. The event was held at the congregation Beth Simchat Torah, that is the gay and lesbian synagogue, who also provided the refreshments for us.
Good Hebrew accent there, Kathy.
Well,
and a special thanks to Yolanda CBST and Dick Radvon, CBST's representative to the Spiritual Rainbow.
Right, everyone worked really hard. Edith Mencher, rabbinic intern at CBST, welcomed everyone, and the keynote speaker for the evening was City Councilman Phil Reed.
Welcome to this celebration of the life and legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. Welcome to this evening of memory, inspiration, and rededication organized by the Spiritual Rainbow. And welcome to Congregation Beth Simchat Torah. Our congregation is very privileged to be able to provide this space in which we can learn and sing together, remember and be inspired together as we honor the faith, the teaching, the leadership, and the courageous action that characterized the life of Reverend King. It seems far from coincidence that as we remember Martin Luther King's determination to lead his people from oppression to freedom, that this week the Bible story that inspired King will be read from the Torah in synagogues around the world. God spoke to Moses, "Go and tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to let the Israelites depart from this land." Yet Moses did not feel able to do what God demanded. He protested that the children of Israel would not listen to him. He cried out, "How then should Pharaoh heed me, a man of impeded speech?" Moses, we think, had a stutter, or had some other reason speech did not come easily to him. When Moses doubted his own capacity to serve as leader to his people at the burning bush, God assured him that he would not go to Pharaoh alone. God would be with him. Now, when Moses doubts his capacity to deliver God's message, God assures him that he will not go without human companionship and support. God speaks to both Moses and to his brother Aaron, and together they go to confront Pharaoh. With God and with one another, they go out to bring freedom and hope, to confront injustice and tyranny. It seems far from coincidence that the night we have chosen to remember Martin Luther King occurs in the week between the anniversary of his birth and the anniversary of the death of his good friend and spiritual colleague, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. Just as Moses did not confront Pharaoh alone, just as God spoke to Aaron and sent him to walk beside Moses, so God sent others who heard God's voice to walk beside Dr. King as he led the long march toward the freedom of his people, the long march toward a more free and just world for us all. Rabbi Heschel's daughter has written that the relationship between the two men was one of affection and of colleagues working toward the same political causes. A photograph of Abraham Joshua Heschel walking arm in arm with Martin Luther King Jr. in the front row of the marchers at Selma has become an icon of American Jewish life and of what is possible and necessary in Black-Jewish relations.
Before we begin, we thought it would be an important thing to just explain a little bit about what the spiritual rainbow is.
Right. Well, the Spiritual Rainbow is a coalition of many of New York's diverse gay and lesbian spiritual organizations and gay-friendly churches.
The official mission of the spiritual rainbow is to build community among lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgendered people by offering regularly scheduled meetings and opportunities for discussion, worship, and ritual celebration.
Love those ritual celebrations.
Tonight we'll be hearing from representatives of some of these groups as we celebrate the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., bisexual and transgendered people of faith.
Now it's time for our keynote speaker of the evening, Phil Reed, a longtime activist for civil rights, starting at an early age when his family was involved with Dr. King and the Freedom Riders.
Phil Reed has been active in the fight to bring funding and services to people with HIV and AIDS since the early years of the epidemic.
His important work has included serving as project director for the East New York HIV/AIDS Project and director of public affairs for the Hetrick Martin Institute.
His longtime involvement in New York City politics led to his election in 1997 to the New York City Council, representing the 8th District, which includes parts of the Upper West Side, East Harlem, and the South Bronx.
And in 1998, he was Grand Marshal for New York City's Gay Pride Parade. It is a pleasure to introduce the Honorable Phil Reed.
Thank you all very much for this opportunity to be here this evening. It's always a pleasure, and it's been quite some time since I've had an opportunity to be here with the congregation. I realize how long it is that you have been here as a true testimony to our community, that we are not only of many faiths, but we are proud of our faith and our orientation and of ourselves and our families. And so we have to look at what are the challenges for today. Where have we been? What have we been successful at? Today in New York City, we have an unemployment rate of 9%. In the district that I represent, we have an unemployment rate of 20%. In New York City, 30% of the people who are employed do not have health insurance. 30% of all working New Yorkers do not have health insurance. I don't have to go into the statistics about violence against everybody, but certainly against women. The statistics about our children who can't read and write and they have graduated from the New York public school system is an indictment. So those are the challenges that we face today. As I listen to our mayor, God help us, I may not be happy with the fact that I only get 2 terms, which adds up to 6 years for term limits, but I know there's a blessing when I can count to 3 and he'll be gone. The mayor has decided to tell us that everything is fine. And if you listen to it long enough, you'll believe it. That's what he thinks. So it's important for us to not only talk back to bullies like Giuliani, because he's gone soon, but we have to tell all of those other people who have bought into this. And many of us go to cocktail parties and associate with our friends who have this false sense that things are fine here in New York, and don't define fine in the sense of what the impact of all of what's happening, not only in this city, but in this country, have on all of us. Because the message, certainly, of Martin is that none of us can really be comfortable if any of us are left out. And when you don't have to look very far beyond the shores of Manhattan. I was at a party the other day with this, actually the same party with these people who are calling themselves liberals, talking about economic opportunity and the involvement of this one woman. She sells a commercial space, and she's a really nice lady. I've been knowing her for years. She sells commercial space to major national chains, the Foot Lockers and people like that. And of course, as the booster that I'm supposed to be for East Harlem, I was explaining to her about the opportunities on 125th Street with the new Pathmark and some new economic development things that are happening up there, and a brand new subway station. And she just said, "Oh, no, we can't put the store up there." And another woman sitting next to her said, "You know, I don't understand." She said that, "You know, really, that neighborhood is so close to Manhattan. I don't understand why it hasn't been developed." Well, as long as you define Manhattan in those terms, everything is ducky. But I suspect that not many of us live in that world. We live in the other parts of it. And so it's up to us in the terms of this legacy that Dr. King has left us, that we don't allow those assumptions to go unchallenged.
If you're just surfing in, you're watching the Gay Catholic Hour's coverage of the Spiritual Rainbow's 2nd annual celebration of the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Dignity New York is an active member of the Spiritual Rainbow.
By now you know what the Spiritual Rainbow is. We'd like to take a minute to tell you a little bit more about Dignity New York, or rather, what Dignity New York is not.
That's right, Kathy. Dignity is not a group of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgendered Catholics who are trying to change their sexuality.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. We at Dignity believe that our sexuality is God's gift, and we celebrate and honor our relationships as we celebrate and honor our religious heritage.
Dignity New York is part of a national organization that has chapters all over the United States.
You can check out the website. Here's the address: www.dignityusa.org, or give a call at the 800 number on the screen.
And now, back to the Spiritual Rainbow celebration. Next, we'll hear from the elder Zachary Jones. He is so fabulous.
Fierce,
I
fierce.
love him. I love him. Powerful
Pay attention
speaker.
to this.
You learned something. He's from the Unity Fellowship Church, and we'll also hear a little bit more from their inspirational choir.
And again, statement. First, the line of progress is never straight. For a period, a movement may follow a straight line, and then it encounter obstacles, and the path bends. It's like curving around a mountain when you are approaching a city. Often it feels you are moving backwards, and you lose sight of your goal. But in fact, you are moving ahead, and soon you will see the city again closer by. The line of progress is never straight. Now, I heard some sniggling in reading that, and perhaps this applies more literal to us than maybe Martin intended. But one of his gifts was his ability to look at progress and to look where the movement had come from. And I started thinking about the line to progress never being straight. I started meditating on that, wondering what the depth and the essence of that statement really meant. For if the lines of progress are never straight, that involves or envisions a curve, a turning point. And when you're in a curve, you get a different perspective on things. When you're in a curve, you're in a different position physically. You're able to look back slightly at where you've come from. You're able to identify God's blessings. You're able to identify survival. You're able to identify how you got over. You're able to identify that if I made it over those mountains, I made it through those rough seas, then maybe possibly I can keep going around the curve and find myself closer to the city than I ever have been. Yes, God has brought us a long ways, and tonight is the night of celebration of that. But while we're in the curve, we have to realize that a curve is measured differently from a straight line. You have to measure a curve because it becomes wider as we measure it. It becomes uncomfortable many times as we measure it. It becomes clouded. We cannot see the city. Many of us experienced that coming back to New York City on the 95. We get around a particular portion of that city, it seems like the city is far away. But the reality of it, we're closer than we ever been. And we have succeeded. People are living longer because those who were in ACT UP, those who stood strong, those whose backs we stand on, we live today because they caught a hold of the dream. We must continue to fight. We must continue to stand strong together. We must continue to drop our differences and be as one people when it comes to being fully citizen, when it comes to liberty and justice for all people. Who will be next in terms of victim of violence? Who will be the next person? As we realize that each one of us must take that stand. We must commit ourselves to eradicating homophobia all over the land. In every community, in every faith circle, in every political circle, we must be a voice. We cannot give up now. We cannot turn back now. We can't come out of the curve now. We must fight, but we are closer to the city than we ever have been. God bless you.
Trying to take Martin's dream, turn it around. Trying to take Martin's dream, turn it around. Stand up, lifting, putting folk down. Trying to take Martin's dream, turn it around. 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 Where's that level playing ground? Where's that level playing ground? Poor folk looking ain't been found, trying to take Martin's dream, turn it around. Where's that level playing ground? Where's that level playing ground? Poor folk looking ain't been found, trying to take Martin's dream, turn it around.
On last month's program, Will Burgert interviewed Sarah Buchner, a member of Dignity's community and probably the first ever transgendered concert pianist. If you missed the interview of Sarah's February concert, you have another opportunity to hear her perform. April 27th, Sarah will be performing the Bach-Goldberg Variations and 12 Preludes and Fugues by Larry Bell at Merkin Hall, West 67th Street. The concert will begin at 8 p.m. For ticket information, you can call Merkin Hall at 212-501-3330. That number again is 212-501-3330.
And believe it or not, it's that time of year again to start thinking about St. Patrick's Day and Brendan Fay. Brendan is at his annual Lavender and Green Party, a very gay St. Patrick's Day. The event will be Saturday, March 6th at the Church of St. Paul the Apostle.
Do they know that we're gay and Catholic?
I don't know, but they're going to find out. This is at a Roman Catholic church, so you could just plotz over this. And we'll be serving corned beef and cabbage.
Yum.
Yuck. Kilts and bagpipes.
Live without them.
Love those. Ale.
Whatever.
And door prizes.
Love those
Love
prizes.
those. Who could ask for anything more? Call the Dignity number that appears at the end of the program for more information.
Well, if you missed the Spiritual Rainbow celebration of the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on January 14th, you will have another opportunity this winter to fellowship with gay and lesbian people of faith and their friends and children and whoever the heck else they want to bring. Saturday night, February 13th, the Spiritual Rainbow will be co-sponsoring a St. Valentine's Day Eve dance at Riverside Church with Maranatha Riversiders, got that name in there.
Maranatha, yes.
For gay and lesbian concerns.
They're an excellent group. They've been around for years, and we love them. They're usually right behind us at the Gay Pride Parade. But Riverside Church is located. You know where Riverside Church is located, right? Everyone knows. That's the big one when you go up when you're going upstate. But in case you don't know, it's at 490 Riverside Drive at 122nd Street. Okay. The dance will be in room 9T, as in Tower. 7 o'clock to midnight. Suggested donations are $10 per person or $15 per couple, so nab a date and save some money. If you need more information, you can call the Dignity number on the screen at the end of the program. And now for all of my brethren and sistren here in the 3rd Council District, and that's the West Village,
Right.
Chelsea, and Midtown.
Midtown.
Fabulous parts. Don't forget to vote at the special City Council election on Tuesday, February 16th.
Right.
You don't have to be a Democrat or Republican. It's an open election.
Right.
So there's no excuse, and we've got, how do they put it? 3 openly and 4 gay candidates. So take your choice and just make sure you vote or you don't get to gripe, okay?
There you go. And you won't be fabulous if you don't vote.
Right.
Well, we have a little bit more to share with you for tonight from the Spiritual Rainbow's 2nd annual celebration of the legacy and life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Next up is Reverend Alan Harris from the Park Avenue Christian Church.
An active member, I hear.
We are therefore called to reply to a world of misinformation, mistaken identity, and outright abuse to new and non-violent ways. I believe we have been given an innate fabulousness to be able to find in the midst of that cauldron of hate and violence a new way of doing things. We have been given an amazing creativity, I won't say straight people don't have it, but it comes just a little bit easier for our community. And it is a gift that we must use carefully, wisely, freely, and responsibly. This hallmark of our lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community is an amazing one, and it brings us to the brink of music in wonderful ways.
Well, that's it, folks. Dignity New York meets every Sunday evening. Mass begins at 7:30 p.m. and is followed by a social.
We meet at St. John's in the Village at the corner of Waverly and West 11th Streets, just west of 7th Avenue. For more information, call the number on the screen.
And if you can't find a pencil, don't
panic. How did I do?
Fabulous.
I've always wanted to do that.
Fabulous. You're so funny. We're listed in the phone book under Dignity New York, so call us.
And watch us next month, same time, same
right.
station.
So until next time, be proud you're Catholic.
And be proud you're gay.
So long.
The song that I always remember when things get bad, and I'm going to try to sing it, and I'm going to ask you to join along with me in just a few choruses. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Hallelujah. Keep on a-talking, walking down the freedom's land. Ain't gonna let Giuliani turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let Giuliani turn me around. Gonna keep on a-walking, keep on talking, walking down the freedom's land. Ain't gonna let the weather turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let the weather turn me around. Keep on a-walking, keep on a-talking, walking down the freedom's land. One more. Ain't gonna let no hatred turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no hatred turn me around. I'm gonna keep on a-walking, keep on a-talking, walking down the freedom's land. Thank you all very much.